so in this video we're going back to exponents again, and we're going to talk about some different properties that have to do with exponents. Let's review what happens with an exponent. Remember, a base is the number being multiplied. And then the exponent is the number of times you multiply the base. And of course we know that if we had x to the third, or x cubed, x is what we call our base, and 3 would be our exponent, because we would want to multiply x 3 times. X cubed is the same as x times x times x. Okay, so let's do a few examples. Number 1, if I say I have negative 6 and I have it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times, this is the same as saying negative 6 to the 6th. And I can put the parentheses around this to kind of denote it. You go ahead and do example B on your paper. Okay, let's look at C. I have 1 over 8, and 8 is multiplied 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 times. So I can say that this is 1 over 8 to the 10th. I could also actually multiply 8 to the 10th, but I don't have a calculator right now, and I sure can't do that in my head. You go ahead and do example D on your own. We'll talk about it tomorrow. Okay, so let's talk about some new properties of exponents that you may or may not have heard before. We want to talk about the zero property of exponents and what happens when we have negative exponents. So there's 2 really important rules that you need to remember forever. First one is that for every non-zero number, non-zero just means the number is not zero, non-zero number x, if we have x to the 0 power, it's going to be 1. Anything to the 0 power equals 1. The other really important rule that you need to remember is that for every non-zero number x, x to the negative a, or negative anything, is going to be equal to 1 over x to the a. You don't want a negative exponent, so we can take that negative and put it as a denominator and it becomes positive. Think about it as pushing your negatives downstairs. So for this, I took my negative a, and I pushed my whole term downstairs. I can't just push the exponent. So let's do a whole bunch of examples. First one, 4 to the 0. Well, what did I say? For every non-zero number x, x to the 0 is 1. Anything to the 0 power, 1. You can remember that. Okay, 2. Negative 7.8 to the 0 power. Same rule, anything to the 0 power, 1. Okay, let's look at something more difficult. B to the negative 5th. I have a negative exponent. I don't want any negatives, so I'm going to push it downstairs. This becomes 1 over b to the 5th. Okay, look at the next one. 6 to the negative 3rd. Works just like b to the negative 5th. So I can write 1 over 6 to the 3rd. I could also multiply this out and do 1 over 6 times 6 times 6. So that'd be 36 times 6, 144, another 72. Why don't you tell me what that is? 1 over what? What is 6 cubed? 6 times 6 times 6. All right, this one, what's going on here? This time I have my 1, in my denominator is b to the negative 9th. I don't want a negative exponent. I can't push this downstairs. I'm still kicking it out there, but I'm going to kick it upstairs. This just becomes b to the 9th. Are you seeing a trend? If you have a negative up, we push it down. If we get a negative down, we push it up. So this one, 1 over 3 to the negative 2, it's already on the bottom, I'm going to push it up. And that one I could actually actually answer. 3 squared would just equal 9. Okay, let's look at a couple more. 3 more to be exact. I have a to the third over m to the negative 6th. Negative exponent, I want to push it up. My a to the third can stay right where it is because there's nothing wrong with it. This one, we're going to push it up, and this is my answer. So I took my denominator that had the negative exponent and I put it up top. Alright, so what are we going to do here? I have a negative exponent up top and a negative exponent on the bottom. They're going to switch places. I'm going to end up moving my m to the negative 6th up, and it will of course become m to the 6th. And then I'm going to move my a to the negative 3rd down, and it becomes a to the 3rd. I have no negatives, so my answer is done. All right, one more example. 1 over m to the negative 6, a to the negative 3. Lots of negatives, all in the denominator. Where do I want them to go? Up. So my 1 can kind of go away because it's just a 1, and this becomes m to the 6th, a to the 3rd. So what you need to remember is, number 1, anything to the 0 power is always 1, and we don't want negative exponents. So you can always put it as a denominator in a fraction, or if it's already in the denominator, move it up.